I measured his new Masters Series snap-on box. 24 inches, same depth as my Icon. But we're not here to compare toolboxes. We're here to spend a day in the shop, fixing cars, making a living, getting people back on the road. That's what we do. If you just tuned in, I'm Jimmy, and we are making it work. We're getting the shop opened up. I think almost coming back tomorrow. I'm not sure tomorrow or Thursday. The news is saying we're all gonna die today. 98 degrees, 175 degrees, feels like temperature, something like that. I'm not really sure if that's accurate, but I do know one thing. I'm gonna finish getting some of these things open up. We'll probably play with the sport track some this morning. Got to put a spark plug back in it. I think I left my flashlight in that Chevy Captiva yesterday somewhere, tucked up in the wheel well. We were rushing and I was trying to get them out of here. I didn't know they were in the waiting room taking it that day. And I left my flashlight in it. 47 bucks, down the toilet. But the magnet had fallen out of it, if you might remember. So, we just got another one. No big deal. Alright. I am ready to go today. We're going to see what happens. I don't know when they want me to start on the Corvette engine. It's approved though. It's like 25 hours labor. I'm going to pull the engine out of the car, regasket the whole thing, put it back in. He's not doing any of the other stuff, I don't think. No ABS and none of the suspension bushings or toe tie rod ends and stuff like that. He's doing all that himself. I guess him and his son, it's a project car for them, minus the engine oil leaks. So let's see what happens. Let's finish getting this place open up and get to it. What do you say? Stay tuned. Alright, Explorer Sport Trac 2001. It shows 133 or whatever it was on the clock, something like that. Yesterday I looked at it. I had a fouled spark plug, 125 pounds of compression, which the cylinders could be slightly gas washed. It might be higher than that. Got a really noisy timing chain. I broke the spark plug taking it out to get a look at it. So this is a new spark plug and I'm using a different method so we don't break the new one. We're going to see if it's got spark going to the plug. I'm going to look first to see if it's coming out of the coil at all, because these coils go bad a lot. If it's coming out of the coil, then we'll move wires around or something, try to do that, see what's going on with this thing. I don't think it's going to be fuel since the plug smelled like oil and gas a little bit, so I'm leaning heavily towards spark, but we'll see. There's another little miss somewhere. I wonder if I might have a second plug with an issue, but we're going to bring up that Misfire screen again and take a look, see how number 2 is doing. I didn't even pull the wires. I cleaned off the coil, made sure that these were number 2 like I thought. Their parent cylinder is 5.3. I forget if it's 5.3, 4.1, and then whatever the last 2 are these 2. You can switch the wires, see if it's the coil weak. Now that I told it forward, it might do auto ID for the rest of it. I'll bring that data up, then we'll come back. Power balance monitoring right at the top here. It's taking a little longer than I thought it should. Oh, there it goes. I think the PCM in this old Ford's like, good morning. Oh, what's going on? Oh, you want to do something? Let me just have my coffee and we'll get started. Engine power balance monitoring. Still showing 2 as a problem. Doesn't feel that bad. Maybe it is. Let's see. Now it's warmed up a little. Yeah, it does have a little stumble. It got better with the plug, but it didn't fix it. Let's go see what we have for spark. Hook my test light to ground. That way the spark goes directly to ground, dissipated by the test light. We can also see if anything happens with that. We're in the right cylinder and all that kind of thing. Looks like you're a real tiny spark. Not bad coil. What these do when they go bad is they lose their kick. So you won't get spark in the cylinder where there's pressure. It takes more energy to fire a spark where there's pressure. And you take the wire off the coil and it fires like a wimpy little spark. Tick, 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 tick. It should be like bang. It should be coming out of like a lightning bolt about that far. So the coil is bad, and that's what fouled that spark plug. That's what I was kind of suspecting, but we'll be 100% sure once we put a coil in it. Of course, I got to recommend the wires and plugs, because a full tune-up is a good idea when you have a bad coil. We fouled that plug. We already done the one. Just 5 more spark plugs and a new set of wires. If the resistance is high on the wires, it could damage the coil too, but you won't know that until we fix the coil so it sparks. Then you want to call the customer back. Oh, you have a wire issue too. So that's what we'll do. We'll recommend a full tune-up, and we'll see what happens with this one. The timing chain made a racket when we started it too. Oh, BMW. Quick oil change, customer's oil and filter. Oh, we got the good stuff. We got a man filter. We got a fresh drain plug washer. I'm gonna knock this out real quick. I'm not really gonna film much of it. Pretty clean car, other than a couple of dings. There's some dings and scratches and stuff, but keeps it waxed, that's for sure. Man, it takes a while to drain 7 quarts of oil out of this thing, I'll tell you what. Just like that, it's all done. Didn't even take a second, did it? All right. What we gotta do now is figure out how to get the lift under this. I don't want to do it inside because we're going to take the whole engine and subframe out the bottom. You can pull them out of the top, but you got to loosen the subframe and let it down to fit that big giant winged oil pan. If you're familiar with Corvettes, the oil pan's almost as wide as the engine. So you got to let the cross member down to fit it out there either way. I'm just going to take it out the bottom like they recommend. You take the radiator and fans out, and you can let the cross member down and slide it forward off the drivetrain tube. But we got to get this thing on the lift first. I'm not sure how I'll get a jack under it. We're going to see what we come up with. Take some experimentation. Well, after about 45 minutes of messing around, I think we're in a good spot. We got this car is so rough, I feel kind of bad. $7,500 for Reseal on the engine and a couple other little things, and I mean the body, the interior, the paint, and there's nothing's in really good shape on it, but the customer wants to do it. All I can do is do the best I can on the work I'm approved to do, and that's what we're doing. I'm going to take this off. There's no need for it. The whole subframe and everything is going to come down. I want you to take the transverse leaf spring out. They make a special tool that kind of pushes up on the ends and pulls down in the center, so you can unload it and then reinstall it afterwards, but we don't have that, so we'll figure something out. I'm trying to remember how I did them last time. Is that rubbing on the engine? All right, we'll have to investigate that too. Something's not right. Oh look, a screwdriver. I got a free screwdriver. Cool. You might remember when I looked at this car last week, the subframe bolts are loose and stuff. Someone did a rack and shocks and sway bar links and stuff and didn't snug them all up quite right, but we'll get it. So I'm going to take exhaust out of the way. I'm going to get things soaking. We'll get deep creep going. Got to drain the coolant and the oil, stuff like that. It's basically an engine reseal is basically like replacing the engine, because you take it down to we're not doing head gaskets, but we're doing every other gasket. So it's like putting another engine in the car, but all we're really doing is getting this one to hold on to its oil. So not going to be really hard. These aren't really hard to do, but it's time consuming and you got to be patient. Try not to spend hours and hours and hours fixing stuff that you're not working on. We'll see if I can resist the temptation. Probably not. That's what we do. Got wheel locks. That's a bummer. the easier ones to get off. We don't have a wheel lock key, so we're just going to take them off and put regular nuts on them. Let's get some suspension pods out of the way. We got to disconnect the shock, the tie rod end, and the ball joint. And then I think I'll put some jack stands under here and release the ball joint so the spring can go boing. I don't... Whoa, faster. You know that's a Dodge Charger or something. I don't think there's tons of force on these transverse springs, I'm not sure. It is rubbing on the oil pan like something's missing or it's been modified or something. But we'll figure that out when we get it all apart. The concern I have is the tool they want you to use to flatten the spring out for removal is $1,600. That's not going to happen. I'm getting about 25 hours labor, and it's probably going to take all 25 hours to do. So it probably won't go this week either, I'm guessing. So we're going to have a sketchy week. I think I got like 12 hours for the week so far. If this don't go and I work on it all week, that's going to be rough. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe some gravy's going to drop into my lap, and money's going to be flowing like water. Maybe. 21 millimeter on the ball joint. Yeah, oh, wasn't that tight. It's tight, but not as tight as I'd like it. The tie rod ends in 19. They had a piece of coat hanger in there for a cotter pin. But when I pushed the button to record it, I looked back, the camera wasn't on. Maybe I didn't push it hard enough. But you'd have laughed with me instead of at me, because it was a piece of coat hanger. He probably was worried about upsetting Rain Man Ray by reusing a cotter pin, so he grabbed a piece of coat hanger instead, I guess. Use my gear wrench joint splitter. And I feel really bad for Bill. He came by. He's going to be working at a shop like a quarter mile down the road. But he came by wanting to borrow my truck. I'm like, what? But his wife left him 2 days after he got fired. That's some stuff right there. When the chips are down, you know who your friends are. Oh, that's not tight. Someone didn't tighten the tie rod end. I didn't do that. We are going to tighten it right now so I don't have to worry about remembering it. This ain't going anywhere until I release the shock. It's a bolt and a nut. And I'm going to take this off and I'll lower it down, put jack stand under here and separate the ball joint. And it'll go twang, but it's not going anywhere. The spring's bolted into two mounts. All it'll do is go punk, hopefully. About ready to lower it down, try my trick, see if it works. I didn't want to get a pickle fork. I'll do it if I have to. This isn't going to fit in there, I don't think. Stay. You're in timeout. I'm going to have to use some kind of a box wrench or something for that. Ooh, turkeys. The ball joint is loose. The spring's just not pulling it down. For whatever reason. There go my ego. The heck? That one popped real easy. It's not even on the jack stand. I'm really glad I didn't buy the $1,600 spring compressor tool. Curious to see how much trouble these exhaust bolts will give us. So far so good. Certainly don't want to brag yet.
Man, if everything goes that smooth, this can be an easy ticket.
Before we go too much further on, drain the oil and coolant out of it. Takes a while. Be patient. Once that finishes draining, I'll put my coolant drain pan on top of the oil drain so it doesn't have to go all the way to the ground and make a big old mess. You guys might know I don't like walking around in puddles. I don't care if it's water. Definitely don't like knowing that it's coolant or oil on my boots and then you're going to get in customers' cars. Even with a floor mat, you're touching the sides of your boots against the transmission tunnel and the kick panels, and the paper mats that people put in there is just a suggestion to keep it clean. It doesn't really help 100%. Maybe 50. It helps 50%. The best thing is to be careful, make sure your boots aren't nasty. A couple of clips for those O2 harnesses. Flanges in the back right here over your head, and flanges in the front at the pipes you saw me loosen. Now, these two 13 hangers should be the only thing holding that in. Careful, don't let it hit you in the head. Put a new gasket on the drain plug. Might be getting ahead of myself, but it's the kind of thing I don't want to have to try to remember later. And I also don't want to sit here dripping for hours while I'm working on it. So I'll throw a new gasket on, put it back in. Drain plug part will be done when we're done. Oh, the lawn guy cut the grass around the project truck and sprayed grass into the wheels again. Alright. I'm not going to spray with brake clean, that would be redundant. Because I'm going to put it in a parts washer once it's out. Next thing is, get some coolant out of here. Radiator drain's right there. So, I'll put this here drain pan like that. I think I loosened this earlier, but let's see. All of that planning, things go out the window when it hits the fan. Alright, now we can relax a minute, contemplate why such an ugly clamp is on there. Maybe we'll, I wonder if this one's loose too. No, that one they tightened. So they randomly tighten some stuff and don't tighten others. I guess you should look, if you look at the positive, they tighten some stuff, so that's good. I'm going to try to find a squeeze clamp or something for that. Get that nasty thing off of there. It won't take but a minute while it's all apart to unthread this and slide one of them little squeezy clamps if I have one. We're going to have to. This rubber plug is swole, not doing too good. We'll put that in the parts washer too. There's a clamp in here. You loosen the Allen bolt, it just goes on a spline. Here, let me put a light on and show you. See that clamp up there? It's like a Torx or an Allen bolt, I forget which. Look how bad the rear main is. You turn it so it faces the right way. Pull that bolt out of there. Take the, you can take this off of here. The bell housing bolts, but they're hard to get to at the top on these. So it's usually easier to take this out of the way. And you got to take this out of the way to take that out of the way. And take that collar off, and then once the cradles drop down past the studs, with the radiator out, you can slide it all forward, allegedly. How I'm going to do that, I don't know. Maybe I use that table. See how much weight it can hold. Try it out. We do have a metal tool back here that we made years ago, but it's buried back there. It will probably take me half an hour to get to it, but I won't drop an engine on my head, so maybe it's worth it. we'll think about it while we're on the way towards needing it.
You gotta take about 255,000 8mm bolts out of here, and you can get to the other bolts around this. So we're gonna do that next.
Got AC check. Throw out the chutes. 2019 Toyota Corolla. It's got some fancy hubcaps on it too, don't it? You might be a little bit jealous. I know I am. It's got refrigerant in it. You know, I'm checking this thing. It's not really a problem when you're doing something, a big job like that. Getting interrupted, you're like, I'm kind of busy, but you know, you have to line up your next repair. When you're in flat rate, you want to see what your next job is going to be, and like I mentioned, that doesn't go. If I check this AC, it needs some work, they want to do it, then that'll go on this week. So, you know, you feel like you're getting interrupted, but in reality, it's part of the business, and it's how you keep things moving. If you don't look at anything until you're done with that, then you have nothing to do when you're done with that. That's the bottom line. So I don't know what that is. I don't want to touch it though. I do want to fire this up and see what the pressures do, because it has refrigerant. Let's start it up. I want to give it a 6, but the stains in the seat really make me stay 5. I don't know. What do you think? 70,000 miles. Junk. We got it on low. Something's happening. Let's go see what the pressures look like. Uh-oh. I'm gonna let it run a minute or two. This should be down around 35. Somewhere between 30 and 40. It'll blow nice and cold out the dash that way. If it doesn't pull the low side down, it's not going to get cold. But it will take a minute or two. It's been out in the hot sun. So that's why when you get in your car, it feels hot for a minute or two, even when it's working correctly. Because before you get cold air, it's got to cool off everything on the way to you. So I'll give it a minute. Well, it's been a few minutes. Nothing good's happening on the low end. Let's step in there with this and see what temperature we got. That's about 55 out there, so it's probably 60, 65 in here. We'll see. Feels halfway decent. Store photo, no. Feels cooler than that. Maybe because it's 97, 98 degrees out. That 70s feels nice. We'll bring up the engine speed. Should pull the low side down a little better. It immediately starts dropping. 62, 61, in the 50s. And you let it go back to idle. You can see the machine out there. The low side needle goes back up. So it's got a weak compressor. Unfortunately, it's working. But when it's this hot, that's not going to get the car cool. It's going to take 20-minute, 30-minute drives to cool the car off a little bit. That's why car air conditioners are so much more powerful than a house air conditioner, because the house air conditioner is working at steadier temperatures. It doesn't have to be as big for the area it's cooling. The air conditioning units in these cars, I mean, they'll cool off a small house. But your car, it's out in the sun, it gets to 150 degrees in the interior, sometimes 160. You start your AC. If you want cold air within a few minutes, that AC has got to be real powerful for the cubic feet that the interior displaces. Let's let them know the compressor's bad. I got to do an inspection too. And some people too, there's a couple different mindsets in the comments and in shops in general, customers. With those vehicle inspections, some people think they're evil, but it's not an evil thing. They're a little bit time consuming, but you're doing the customer a favor, because if you find a lot of things wrong with their car, you're helping them out. You're going to make money, sure, but if someone hasn't inspected the vehicle properly and they don't know they have a bad ball joint or a bad tie rod end, or that there's wear on the inside of their tire and not on the outside, that kind of thing, there's a safety concern there. Of course, you're going to make money. That's the shop wants to make money. But if the car is in good shape and the inspection's in good shape, and your car's in good shape and you know it is, and the shop informs you that it is, and the shop didn't make money from it, but they still did it to make sure everything's okay. Does that make sense? If they find a lot of things wrong on a car, I noticed that when we do the inspections and there's a ton of things wrong on them, there's only two possibilities. One, they don't take care of their car and they don't want to hear it when you tell them they need stuff, and they're not going to fix most things. Maybe one or two. And the other one is, no one has done an inspection. The car hasn't been properly serviced in years, and they don't know how far things have gotten, how bad things have gotten, and they'll want to fix everything. So there's a couple different schools of thought on that. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. But you know, if the only problem I have with inspections when they're done by people that aren't, what's a good word for it? If you don't have a conscience and you're using inspections to scare people into buying tons of work that they don't need, that's when I have a problem. But if you're having your car inspected and you have a doubt, go get a second opinion. Take it to another shop that does inspections to see if the two inspections agree. No harm in that either. You have to protect yourself because there are unscrupulous people. But when used correctly, those inspections are actually a good thing. So sometimes I rag on them because I'm busy and it's time consuming and that kind of thing, but I don't want anyone to see that incorrectly. That's my perspective. That's my perspective on it. 10mm Allen. Might be too tight for my 3/8. But we'll see. Told ya. Do I have an adapter for my 1/2 incher? No, I do not. But I'll have an adapter shortly. Got my gear wrench adapter. And I got a 3/8 ratchet. Let's see if this will work first. I'm hoping the adapter might snap. These are sometimes pretty tight. That was like 100 foot-pounds or so. It was tight. Oh, it's got Loctite on it. Cool. Get these 8mm out now. The Toyota AC check's gone. I came back from lunch. It's gone. Yeah, there's a lot of bolts in here. That's what I'm saying.
There we go. Second little digging.
This is why I hit my head. I always kind of run the lift a little low, so that way I'm not like reaching 2 feet over my head. Next thing I gotta get is these 13s. I want you to put a 55mm long. I think it's a 10x15. I gotta look it up again. It's been a while since I did one. But you take the plug out and you run a bolt in there and a bolt in here, and there's a bearing that's on that shaft, and you basically, I think 27 foot-pounds of torque. It keeps that bearing from sliding out of the tube when you pull everything apart. You know, when you haven't done something in a little while. I was going around crazy looking in our hardware drawers and trying to find bolts, and I'm like, so you know, I want to say I saved a couple of bolts last time I did it. And I went and looked in my toolbox. I have a miscellaneous tools drawer. Found the 2 bolts. 55mm long, 10x1.5. Shoot thread right in here. One goes in here. I gotta remember, because these bolts are kind of an odd length. I gotta snug these up and then torque them at 26 foot-pounds. This is proven to be in the way. I might have already gone over 26, I don't know. Something doesn't feel right with my torque wrench. That feels like more than 26. Let's put a 15 on something that's tight. It's a wobbly, but I want to see where my torque wrench is at here. Alright. There it goes. I guess I just gave up a little too soon. I gave up at 25 foot-pounds. That won't hurt anything. Stripping these threads or crushing a bearing in there, that would lead to a bad day. Let's not do that. taking these out of the way before, but that's all right. We'll get them now. If I'd have thought of it sooner, I'd have been letting them drip while I was getting the bike. Probably had one of the least healthy things you can have for lunch. A spicy beef burrito from Walmart, $1.24. It's actually really good, but I doubt they're very good for you. It's got that, I don't know what kind of meat it is. It's supposed to be beef, but I'm not really sure what it is. It's like the Taco Bell meats inside. They're not bad if you like them and you're not worried about your health. Try them out. For $1.24 for lunch, you can't go wrong. And it's just enough that you're not hungry, but you're not stuffed, and you can go back to work. You know that feeling when you're working and you ate too much? I don't like that. Anyway, let's see what else we can do while this happens. This will be the last of the fluid mess. I do have to take the fans and the radiator. It says to take the ABS out, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. I might not have a choice, but I'm going to inspect things a little closer from the top first. I'm wondering if I can unbolt the ABS bracket and kind of hold it off to the side. Try to avoid bleeding the brakes and all, but we'll see what happens. There's 3 bolts holding the ABS to the bracket that goes to the subframe. Let's see. That's the third of the 3. So according to my calculations, the ABS should stay in when the subframe drops, but we're going to see. Anytime you do anything major like this, something this big and that much stuff attached, I will lower it slowly, keep looking around, probably get an assistant, lower it another inch, look around, listen for weird creaking and complaining. Basically, if it sounds like a flat rate mechanic, stop and take a look, see what's going on, have a meeting. I disconnected the fan motors while I'm down here. Got the wiring harness out of its retainer. Loosen the radiator hose clamp. Gosh, I guess I'm going to have to discharge the AC too. It said something about it in the instructions. Pumper truck, Kissimmee Fire Department. You guys might be familiar with them. They go by about 8 times a day, 6 times a day. Some days better, some days worse, but usually about 6 times on average, ambulance or a fire truck goes by. A lot of stuff going on at Kissimmee. Oh, I gotta do the power steering hose. That's the other bolt for the ABS. Let's take a look from the top and see what's got to go on from up there. I had to go to let's just say a more messy drip pan because I can't have the oil drain under there when I let it down. It is what it is. Now there's some things you might notice. Like I did not take this clamp off of here. I'm not sure if this tube comes out further. Maybe that is far enough, but the hose has a mark here. It looks like there's a flange right there, but I'm not, the hose is pretty stiff, so I can't really check it too well. There's a lot of sketchy stuff on this poor car. We're going to be fixing oil leaks. We're going to have all the bolts tight. We'll have quite a few things fixed. I even noticed like the alternator bolt on the bottom here is not tight. I did not loosen that yet. I did take the battery cable and the plug out, disconnected my battery, started taking the air inlet, and I said, you know what? The people want to see all the loose bolts and the clamps not properly placed, and they definitely want to admire the chrome master cylinder cap. So we're going to take the alternator out of the way. I'm going to take the tensioner over here, get the belt loose, loosen that bolt the rest of the way, and take this one out. And you got to have the alternator out because the engine is going to go down the bottom. So once we get some more stuff out of the way, well, the shroud or radiator upper support is the 10mm bolts, and I think there might be something else holding it too, but we'll see. A lot of little electrical plugs from the air temp sensor, the mass airflow sensor, idle control motor, stuff like that. Got to disconnect the fuel line. Special tool for that we've got. You push in there and it releases the little springs and it just pops off. Couldn't quite do it with one hand. Set you someplace safe so you don't fall down. I feel bad when you guys get hurt while I'm working. It's bad enough I hurt myself. I don't want to hurt my people. Listen here, man. There it is. I don't think that's supposed to be that way. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pull a refrigerant out of here. But the fittings are easy to get to, and the machine's not even far away down on this end of the shop. Now I can get to the steering column coupler bolt on the rack. Two, I wanted to show you that this, I thought the alternator bolt was loose, but it wasn't loose. It was the wrong bolt. So the threads stop on the inside of the bracket, and there's still a big gap on the outside. So we'll have to come up with a, these are stainless too. Stainless bolts look nice, but you got to be careful what kind of metal you put them into. It can actually create more problems, because if it's a non-compatible metal you screw them into, you got to put some anti-seize or something on them. That's one of the few times you should use anti-seize, and there is only a few times. Some people will tell me online they rebuild engines with it. I know, but I don't. I generally, every lubrication, every product has a application that it's used for mostly. And there are exceptions, of course, but the most important thing on this would be having the correct bolt, because if this doesn't squeeze the alternator base in here, then it's basically vibrating in there. Who knows what can happen from that? You can see that this is kind of mushroomed out a little bit as it is, but I mean, if the hose clamps aren't being put back on, that's probably insignificant in comparison. I stand corrected on this clamp. This aftermarket water pump has 2 ridges in it, so they did it right. Got the hoses off the radiator. I think you gotta take the condenser out before you can take the radiator out, because it sits down on top of the radiator. I took the sway bar down because Fast and Furious guy. Oh, that's a little tiny Honda Civic hatchback, about 1/4 of an inch off the ground with 10 degrees of camber. Cool. I lowered the sway bar because it was right here and the motor didn't look like it was going to clear. I don't know. So this fan apparently took it out the bottom because it ain't fit on the top. And not with the ABS in the way. I don't want to break anything. It might seem like I'm being rough, but trust me, there's nothing but love going on here. Look, that light's bright. Let's see if this will fit out here somewhere. Chevrolet has squeezed some stuff in here. Good for them. Once this is out, everything's a piece of cake. There's an abundance of room afterwards. Oh, I still gotta do the pinch bolt too. Don't let me forget that, will you? I feel like I should be standing on the steps in Philadelphia, you know what I'm talking about? It's not ready. Let's get this all out of here. Take the sway bar out of the way a little more. It's not enough movement. I thought I was going to fit out of there. What was that? Small woodland creature? Just a leaf. That's it. Either one's fine with me. I'm tired. Is the day over yet? Whew. Working out here in the heat. I drank like that, my big Milwaukee cup, I drank like 3 of those. I still feel dehydrated. It said all over the news this morning, do not spend long periods of time outside, you might die. I've been working outside all day. There's 2 things that work when it comes to that. One is, I'm hard to kill. And the other one is, the news exaggerates a little bit, just sensationalism stuff. They like it when you're scared. So that's what they do, it's scary. That way you'll tune in.
to find out what's the next catastrophe you might face. I wish that was an exaggeration. It's not. It's supposed to come out the bottom. Oh, there it is. It's nasty. I gotta blow all that dirt out of it.
Frame, cradle, whole thing come out?
The whole thing.
Whole cradle, right? And the transmission in the back of the car?
Transmission's in the back.
That makes it easier, right? No. I thought it did with the in the back.
You gotta take the radiator, condenser, the ABS pump out,
Okay.
cooling fans, the AC lines, the compressor, the alternator, underneath the cradle, the ball joints, the rack, the steering coupler, power steering hoses, take the power steering pump out. Then you got to lower it down about 2 inches. You got to have a way to slide it forward. You just got to come off the spliner. You got to put the bolts in the lock the bearing. You lock the bearing out of the tube. And then you can slide it forward off those splines. Which the problem is, I mean, they're
engineers.
they have special tools that
No.
mount to this.
This is supposed to be a performance car, right?
Oh yeah.
What sense does this make?
That's all just about rigidity.
Huh?
It's just about rigidity because it's all independent suspension. So the drivetrain doesn't have to move like the old days.
No, but the power is in the flywheel, right? So you have a little spline shaft that goes to the transmission. Maybe I'm thinking wrong. Aren't you moving power from here to here?
Yeah.
It's like an extension. You know, you lose torque, right? So it's the same thing.
It's a big 1-inch bar runs down the center.
Well, I guess it's the same thing. It gives
Just like an axle.
The drive shaft would be okay.
Just like an axle. And it's before the gear multiplication. So it's turning easy.
Right. What I'm saying is, if we took this, off of here, the drive shaft would be done. They need to find it.
The only reason they did that is the weight balance.
Oh, no.
So the car is 50-50 weight.
Okay, that means we turn it here.
So 50-50 weight distribution are really close. It's like 51-49. The old Corvettes were like 70-30. All the weight was in the front.
So it was a steel car.
Yeah, that's why these handle better. And the new ones now, they move the weight to the back. Oh, his tires are shot.
Okay, we gave him a price.
These tires are big time. These actually didn't make that much power. It was a 5.7 liter, 350. But it was the first LS platform.
Right.
So it was
That's
considered
why they-
performance at the time. But the engine in a new Silverado makes more power than this one.
And it's less than cubic.
It's a 6.2. The new Silverados have 6.2.
Okay. I'm thinking about 5.3.
They make more power than the 5.7.
Which is why, the weight?
Yeah, and more torque. So this engine doesn't have that much torque. It's like 400 pounds of torque. This engine makes 80 less foot-pounds of torque than the V6 coming.
Well, you got turbo behind it.
Twin
Big
turbos.
turbos out, yeah.
This ABS gonna have to come out of here. There's just no room to move anything, and there's a line attached to the cross member that goes to the other side anyway. So I'm opening up the system either way. Might as well make it easy and just get it out of the way. Gonna have to bleed all the brakes and stuff anyway. A couple more lines to go and we'll lift it out. Got to get that 10mm ground off of there. It's a shame he doesn't want to replace the ABS while we're in here. It's literally going to be out, sitting in the parts pile while we do the engine work. Alright, wire is off the starter, so we don't do any damage to them son of a guns. And I gotta take that ground. I gotta take that ground off of there. Look around for any other small obstacles.
And we'll be able to drop this motor out of here tomorrow, depending on what's going on in the morning. Whether it's first thing or not, I can't promise you, but we'll see. Well, thanks for watching, guys. We're buttoning up. The shop's all closed up. We're heading out. I'm tired working out here in this heat. These fans blow hot air at you. Still, the air moving helps a little bit, but it's so hot. Like I said, I drank three and a half now of those big Milwaukee cups full of water. I'm still dehydrated, so enough about me. It's more about you. Tell me what the weather's like where you are. I know it's been hot all over the East Coast, so hope everyone's doing okay. Let's torque the like button if you got anything from this video before you head out. Subscribe if you're new. You just found my channel. I appreciate it. We've been getting a lot of support, and the channel's doing great, so that's because of you guys. More than anything, I hope I see you in another video, because you're awesome.